So the Republican Party is proving that they're basically the embodiment of the far right-wing stereotype that we have of them. This is really an insane story. 4 states are poised to cancel their 2020 GOP presidential primaries and caucuses, a move that would cut off oxygen to Donald Trump's long-shot primary challengers. Republican parties in South Carolina, Nevada, Arizona, and Kansas are expected to finalize the cancellations in meetings this weekend, according to 3 GOP officials who are familiar with the plans. The moves are the latest illustration of Trump's takeover of the entire Republican Party apparatus. They underscore the extent to which his allies are determined to snuff out any potential nuisance en route to his renomination, or even to deny Republican critics a platform to embarrass him. Trump advisors are quick to point out that parties of an incumbent president seeking re-election have a long history of canceling primaries and note it will save state parties money. But the president's primary opponents who have struggled to gain traction are crying foul, calling it part of a broader effort to rig the contest in Trump's favor. Okay, so just let's get this point out of the way real quick, because to me it's beyond obvious. Donald Trump has over a 90% approval rating in the Republican Party. No primary challenger is even going to get remotely close to defeating him. So that's obvious, get that out of the way. But the next point is, no, there is no other way to describe that but rigging it in Trump's favor. There's no other way to describe it. Because as a matter of principle, in what's supposed to be a constitutional republic and a representative democracy, you should stand on the side of, yeah, if somebody's running against him, you have an election. What are you talking about? What do you mean? So you have multiple people, Bill Weld and Joe Walsh, announcing a primary challenge against Trump. And then you have state Republican parties going, that's nice, we disagree. We are now canceling that election. Okay, if you want to talk about a system where people lose total and complete faith in it, just look at what the DNC did to Bernie Sanders in 2016 and look at what the RNC is doing to the Trump primary challengers today. I'm sorry, but this is the kind of stuff that completely turns people off to politics for the rest of their lives. Because they go, what's the point? You're pretending like I have a choice. I don't have a choice. You gave Hillary Clinton a giant delegate lead over Bernie Sanders. You had people slipping her the debate questions before the debates, as we learned because of WikiLeaks. We had, in 1,000 ways, they rigged the thing against Bernie Sanders and made it so that he couldn't win. And then you're going to act like I should be excited to vote for Hillary Clinton or I should be excited to get involved in politics? Well, if you're making the decision for me, if the establishment is making the decision for me, why should I be involved at all? Because I'm having no impact whatsoever. I'm just wasting my time. And now, perhaps even more brazenly, you have Trump's people going, we disagree. There's going to be no election at all. Why would you do such a thing? Why would you? I don't care. They say, historically, this isn't unprecedented because, whatever, Pat Buchanan. I'm not sure how many states said there can't be a primary when it was Pat Buchanan versus George H.W. Bush. But they were wrong. I love how, citing that it was massively undemocratic in the past, they're acting like that's an argument. That's not an argument for your position. I mean, why not go further back in history? Well, yeah. I mean, you guys said democracy is important, but there was a time that we, had people as property and they were slaves, so it wasn't a democracy for them. Yeah, and that was bad. It just gets... It happened in the past, so don't worry about it. Yeah, there's also been, dictatorships and tyrannies and, all types of terrible forms of government. That's not a point. You're just saying, it was also bad. It's been bad for a really long time. Okay, so change it. Not going to allow a primary because you're a sycophant to Trump. Are you kidding me? How obnoxious is that? Especially because we all know Trump is going to curb stomp these idiots anyway. So why not have the election? The vote will be 98% to 2% if they're lucky. And then you move right along. But no, see, listen, what's it really about? They just want to protect his ego, man. They just want to protect his ego. They don't want him to have to look at, 2% of the vote went to Joe Walsh or whoever the fuck. They don't want him to have to see that. Because he's a man-child. And if you don't think that's the case, well, just look at Sharpiegate, which we covered in, I was laughing my ass off when I first read that story, where he had to add Alabama with his little Sharpie to protect his fragile little ego. This is the same shit. We're not going to have even though he's definitely going to win, we're not going to have the election because why? Because you want to look out for, your president and make sure his ego isn't bruised. Well, don't turn around and pretend then, because they did this and they're still doing it to this day. They act like we're not like the terribly rigged and corrupt DNC. You're canceling primaries and caucuses. You're canceling them. You're saying, we disagree. The election schmelection, even though they announced, even though it's a free country, even though this is how the system works and they can do it, we don't care. We're gonna get rid of it. I mean, that's insane, man. Seriously. You want to try to get more people involved in the political process, but hold on now, maybe that's the point, to get people not involved in the political process. To make you feel like, well, I have zero power whatsoever anyway, so what the fuck's the point? Maybe that's the whole point. Both when the DNC does it and when the RNC does it, because we know that when turnout is high in elections, that usually helps not just the Democratic candidate, but also the furthest left candidate. Because high turnout means young people turned out, and young people ideologically are much further left when you look at the numbers. So, I don't know, man. Maybe that's the whole point. But either way, this is so obnoxious, and this is so insane, and this is legit third world stuff. This is dictatorship stuff. Again, I don't care. I know he's going to win. I'm not a dumbass, okay? I understand that Donald Trump is going to win, and he's going to beat Joe Walsh by 1.5 miles. He's going to beat Bill Weld. It's not even going to be remotely close. It's going to be embarrassing. But we live in what's supposed to be a constitutional republic and a representative democracy. You can't just write off that representative democracy part because you don't like it, because in reality, you're all sycophants and authoritarians at heart. But that's what it is, man. Don't tell me these state Republican parties aren't sycophants and authoritarians, because that's exactly what they are. They're canceling primaries and caucuses, canceling an election because they love the president and they don't want to hurt his feelings by having somebody get in there and get 2%. Are you kidding me? It's embarrassing. The reality show president, man. The reality show president is acting like a goddamn king. I've said it 1,000 times. I'll say it 1,000 more. Reality is stranger than fiction. Donald Trump is president, which is already like... But then also, he's canceling primary elections in his own party. Well, to be fair, not him, but state parties doing it on his behalf because they want to protect him. It's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. I can't believe, I've been following politics for a long time, man. When I was reading these articles and they were acting like, well, yeah, it's no big deal because this happened in the past. I had no idea about that. And so as I'm reading through the articles, I'm like, I can't believe they're acting like this is a nothing issue. Like, it's like, oh, it happens. Sometimes in America, you have freedom and democracy, and then other times you snatch that freedom away and you have no democracy at all, and you say, no, we're not even going to have an election because we don't want there to be an election because we want to protect the person who's in power. So you mean like emperor shit? You're doing emperor shit, and we're supposed to act like, oh, it's cool. He's the emperor. What do you mean? There's no problem with that. He's just the emperor. No big deal. No big deal. Seems like a kind of a big deal to me. So, and by the way, you will notice something here, as you do on probably every other issue at this point, but there will be no principled, opposition from within the halls of conservative punditry. Turn on Fox News. See how that goes. They're either going to not talk about this story, or if they do talk about this story, they'll downplay it and act like, it's no big deal. It's just canceling an election. It's whatever. So, and again, doesn't work the other way. When there are people on the left who do something where they mess up, I'll criticize them. But for a lot of these sycophants in the pro-Trump media and conservative media, shh, daddy's canceling elections? Whatever, bro, whatever. I mean, it's happened in the past. It's not even a big deal. It doesn't even matter. I mean, what are you going to do, bro? So there will be no principled opposition, even though this is like striking at the heart of what this country is supposed to be.